Welcome to AgencyRise, the podcast where digital marketing agencies rise together. I'm your host, Chris Rudolph. I spent the last decade coaching digital agency founders, helping them scale, systemize operations, and break free from the day-to-day grind. So on this podcast, we talk about what really moves the needle for agencies, getting clients, building a team, creating systems, productivity, focus, and freedom. There's no hype here, no guru nonsense, just real conversations from the agency trenches. So today's guest is Cheryl Laidlaw, founder of CC Digital and My Medical website, and an award-winning web designer and AI trainer. Based in the UK, Cheryl helps service-based businesses, doctors, and financial advisors turn their websites into lead-generating assets using strategy-led design and practical AI workflows that save serious time. She's a Best Woman in STEM winner and a Best Online Business of the Year winner, and regularly speaks on how businesses can use AI in the real world, not just talk about it. I love that. So, Cheryl, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris.
Yeah, for those of you who may not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit more about you and your agency.
Okay, so I founded my business in 2010. I've always predominantly been a web designer, love websites, even to this day, it's 16 years on, and I still love and designing and building websites. I started in Dreamweaver and Flash, for those of you old enough to remember that. And obviously made my way down through the software decades through to WordPress. I build for, like Chris says, for all types of businesses, predominantly medical, financial, and small businesses. I absolutely love to help businesses in tech as well. So always had a reputation for A, bringing people together, but B, training and teaching people. Back in the day, it would have been social media trainings. And obviously now I've developed a love for AI. And that was purely because in 2022, well, it was 2021, 2022, when AI first came on the scene through ChatGPT, I panicked. I was like, this is going to take over my business. I need to pivot. So then I started training and researching, doing courses, and then I did my own podcast. It was called Women of the Metaverse, to then pressurize myself to learn about it so that I could obviously move my learnings on, basically. So that's pretty much me. 16 years on, the only thing that sort of changed is bringing the AI side in. And to be honest with you, I mean, AI, tech, love it all.
I love it. I love it. So I know not many in the agency world went to school for this type of thing. So I'm curious, like, what was your education and experiences that you had before you started your website design agency?
So I did a degree in, it was called information graphic design. And in that course, you could choose modules, whether it be more art-based or more coding-based. Now, I always went down the art-based route. I avoided code at all cost. It wasn't actually until I got into my first agency where they were like, your designs are great, Cheryl, but can you code? So I learnt to code with a senior designer in-house, sitting next to her at the time and just sort of watching her upload, download from Dreamweaver, upload, see if test it, and if it didn't work, we download it, change the code, upload. And no, it took ages. So that's my sort of background in both design and tech.
I love that. And I know you have a lot of experience. You've probably seen a lot of technology innovation changes, also like economic cycles in that time. Looking back, like what have been some of the biggest drivers of your agency's growth over the years?
Do you know what? I think we can all say that lockdown was huge. I mean, again, we all panicked. Some obviously lost their businesses. Some, mine absolutely took off after the first 3-4 weeks of everyone panicking. Lockdown for me really ramped up. It changed the way I did business as well, because I used to do a lot of face to face. I would team up like 3 to 4 meetings a day and then go networking in the evening. And I was always, I say to everyone, I used to go to an opening of an envelope. I would be there. If someone asked me, can you come to this event? I would make sure it happened, team it with a couple of meetings and then be there. obviously we couldn't do that in lockdown. So that was a massive change for me. We all went online. I could get a lot more websites done. I could get more meetings done. I miss my private members clubs in London, don't get me wrong, but it's a more efficient way of doing things. And if people do want to see me, then I'm more than happy to still leave the house if I'm in town, of course. If I'm not traveling the world now.
Yeah, I love that. I've noticed like you online, like you are very active. Tell us a little bit about like how you are a connector and how you organize, and facilitate networking. Yeah, just what that's done to your business as well.
Sure. So I first started my business probably because I networked on behalf of the business that I was working for at the time. And I was only one in the room that would come networking, and I was selling someone else's business. So I could see the power of networking and the power of connections from a very, very early stage before I'd even started. So I was lucky enough that when I started my business, I would network on the side. So I've always valued networking as a really, really big part of getting business, if not my main source, if not referral and networking, which is probably a bit old school actually. But now what I do is I have my own networking group. It's called Work the Room. It's based in London. We only do it 3 to 4 times a year. It's quarterly, and people can come, have some champagne, have a free course meal. It's very schmancy because if you're going to leave the house, you might as well leave for a good course.
Yeah, I love
Right? Meet some great people. People end up staying out and mingling and, getting to know each other on further. And, we get really good feedback from that. We've done that for about six years. We went into, well, probably longer than that because we went online during lockdown. And then when we came out, we started doing lunches. And again, I champion networking so much. And I say to everyone now, go if you can, go to face networkings and then get them onto your social circuit, whether that be Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. And then you can then show up, whether that be through graphics or your own personal videos. And they will always remember you. You'll be surprised how many you'll meet someone that you met, someone will email you from 8 years ago at that networking, you know. I met you at that networking event at the Shard. What? When?
it.
I love getting
Yeah,
those emails because it proves time and time again that networking is great. And then, of course, showing up online is the real kicker, really, that you need to practice doing if you're not comfortable with it. And then if you're not quite comfortable with the video side of things, then there's always the good old graphics to get your
yeah.
name out there and continue.
That's really interesting, Cheryl. I know, like, a lot of times people sway, like, one way or the other. Like, they're all about the in-person meetings and networking and building relationships, which definitely do work. And then there's others that are purely online and, with video and social or maybe like podcasts. You do some of both. Maybe talk about, like, a little bit about how that combination, like, the kind of the power of that and what kind of effect it does.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful not to spread yourself too thinly, I feel, when you are doing online things. I mean, Chris, obviously you've got your podcast and I see you on LinkedIn. I mean, if you started another thing, you'd probably be exhausted, you know? So even this year, I've given myself a promise that I'm going to concentrate on real good quality Instagram posts that are carousel or me talking to camera, more educational, and talk to the actual people, my niche, for example. Making sure I get rid of the people that maybe are not quite ready for me yet, or I'm just, sometimes when that's not always the right fit. So even I have committed this year to being a little bit more cutthroat in the content that I put out there because actually it's more beneficial overall. I must admit, me doing the podcast, all the socials, the networking, I was exhausted. I'm quite pleased that the podcast is now finished. um, we probably won't be doing a season 3 for various reasons. So I yeah, I think again the presenting, the speaking, and also doing the work, it's a lot, and you just have to pick your poison.
Yeah, what I'm hearing, like, first of all, you just have to dive in and do it. But then you talked about how like your putting on networking event has evolved and changed over time where it sounded like you were out all the time doing it. And then now you've scaled it back to quarterly, really meaningful, like really, memorable, intentional meetings. So I think that's a good something we can learn as far as, sometimes you just have to try things, but then always reevaluate and also look at sustainability over time and lean into what's working and cut what isn't. Is that fair to say?
Perfect. Yes, lean into what's working. And with me, it's always been networking, but I have been in mastermind groups before when they say, I hate networking, it doesn't work for me. When you don't want to be there, I think people know that you don't want to be there. And therefore, why would it work for you? Because your face or energy is probably telling everyone else what you're feeling inside.
That's good. So on the flip side, like what have been over the years some of the most painful lessons that you had to learn the hard way?
And well, I've got a good one actually. Do you remember when Google did their social networking platform?
Oh yes, yes, I do.
What was it called? Google.
Plus, was it or something like that? Was that it?
Yes, I think it was Google Plus. I think something like that.
I'm showing my age here.
Well, same, same. So again, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember at the time because I was doing lots of social media training. It must have been, I mean, Facebook was 2007, right? So it must have been around 2012, 13. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I remember going all in on Google because obviously Google's one of the biggest tech firms in the world, right? So I was like, right, 100% their social media channel is going to be the only one that we should be on because A, we want our websites to rank better. So why wouldn't we jump ship to Google Plus, right? So I started doing courses on Google Plus. I even dedicated a whole website to Google Plus. And lo and behold, it died a death about 2 or 3 years later, didn't it? They really tried to push it, but they just couldn't quite get the right deal. It just and people didn't get it. Even when we were doing the training, I can remember it being really, I don't get it. Oh, why? I've got 2 accounts. I've got 3 accounts. We had to smash them all together, and then they'd lost. It was actually a nightmare. So that was a really big lesson. Again, there's lots of LinkedIn trainers out there, Instagram trainers. And I always worry that what if, and I say this to my clients as well, because obviously I sell websites, like what if Instagram was disappeared tomorrow? What if LinkedIn disappeared tomorrow? What would we all do? We all still need our own IP, right? We all need our own websites where we can talk and our own output. So I think that's even from a web designer, me doing the Google Meet or whatever it's called, the Google Plus trainer's website right back then was a big lesson for me.
That's big. I've heard people talk about owning your land online and renting your land. So, like assets that you own, like your website, your email list, things like that, being your owned land, and then your rented land being the social platforms, kind of where people are. Like you're renting to like interact and get in front of other people because that's where they're at. And I think that brings up like you want to have good balance between like your owned properties and rented properties. So if you do it, it is good to go all in and be known for something. Uh,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so I could see how like people are, you rent land to be where people are, but making that transition to your own land. Yeah, tell do you have any insights on how businesses can do that? Because I know like you obviously like our your lane is websites. Yeah, how do you see those two things interact?
In regards to
Yeah,
how
like
can
social, yeah, like how social can lead back to your website and things like that.
yeah, I mean, always say that the call to action should always get them back to the website. So even when I'm talking to my clients and they say, "Oh, I've got these posts, do I put them on LinkedIn?" I'm like, "Yes, but you make sure you put them on your website first so that Google can soak up all the SEO from that, and then about a few days later, you can then have it posted on LinkedIn because we want the Google juice from, posting first onto your website rather than LinkedIn. But again, everything, I would say the call to action should always be check out my website for more information on XYZ. And at the moment, we're doing a lot more when we're building websites. And again, I don't know, um, everyone's got a different strategy, but at the moment, we are doing really long pages so that AI can basically follow a story down the page, the whys, the bits, the ifs, the couldas, the testimonials, the FAQs. So it tells a story, but also AI can read the whole shebang. Obviously humanized as well, but getting that balance right between AI, Google and humans now is the new challenge.
That's yeah, that's quite a challenge. Any other, like, with the changes in AI, any other, changes on, like, kind of strategy with websites that you're seeing as a
I
trend?
I would love to say that I am using AI a lot more in the design and build. It's just not quite there in the design space for me yet. I mean, there's great websites like Lovable and I think it's Base 45, and you can build websites and apps, and they're great, but they're not. I would say they're at like entry point. They're either at entry point levels of design. Great if you need something quickly or first time round and you need something up and running. Um, it's just not quite there for the strategy behind it. Um, yes, you can change it, you can pop strategy into it. Yeah, at the moment, I'm still designing exactly the same way that I did 5 years ago, and building. I'm still building from scratch because there's nothing really out there that's that's blowing my brain. If anyone knows, then please reach out and tell me what they're doing because because I not yet. It's the processes that are really sped up for me, like writing proposals that used to take me 3 hours now will take me 20 minutes, half an hour because I have an assistant, an AI assistant, and that then writes it out. From doing the questionnaire, the discovery call, like just having systems in place in between during the meetings, I would say has sped up hugely for me.
That's interesting. So the kind of the core strategies and fundamentals are still there, but AI is helping, like, with a lot of the manual or, like, the efficiency part of it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It'll help me put my presentations together maybe. Because you can it doesn't have to be as polished as when you're putting a website together for somebody else that's not, it's not bespoke because it's AI. And at the moment, AI can't be replicated. So if you try one prompt one time, it's going to give you something different the second time. So it can't, you can say like this, but it's not quite there yet.
I'm I'm thinking of website, like, sometimes people would see that as a commoditized space. You've got AI tools, you've got lots of freelancers, a lot of people, people worldwide doing them. How do you, like, price confidently in a market that, consistently undercuts itself with shortcuts and lots of freelancers? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
It's a great question, and I definitely was late to charging my worth. So 16 years having my own business. I started off at £600 websites, then £1,200 websites, then £2,000 websites, and then you sort of very slowly over this period of time, trust me. And because I niche in a medical and a financial advisor field, I can there talk about the processes it takes to get the medical licenses, and I know all all about the process of that and how important the patients are, how busy the doctors are, knowing and respecting that their time is precious, that they have no time, and then they're just so I understand them. Same with the financial advisors; they have to go through hoops with have it all signed off. They've got to have all the tick boxes. Again, if you're talking their language already, they feel like they don't have to explain it to that person again. So I would really highly always recommend niching, even though I haven't gone all in because I love being creative. If you're speaking their language from the off, that gives them confidence, knowing that, oh, not only is she a great designer, well, hopefully you're a great designer. She builds great websites. She's done other people's websites. She's won awards. I always bring up again the fact that I've won awards, and the fact that I'm not going to run off I've been around for 16 years, been building for 22 years. So I try and get across that in the discovery call to make sure they know that I understand them. If you, again, that's the same with all in any industry. You have to come across as, like you understand them. You know that they're going to be time poor. You know that sometimes doctors are going to not turn up to a call because they're gonna get a emergency call on their beeper, and that is the type of thing if you say that back to them, they're like, "Yes, I need someone that understands that." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm there. I know that you could cancel on me last minute, and I'm not gonna get the umps." Just feeding back to them their pain points is really important.
Cheryl, I think you bring up a really good point there, and it kind of answers the question that I get from agency founders of like, because we're all aware of like all the innovation and like the AI changes and platform changes and all of that. They're like, how can I stay relevant and be positioned to charge premium when like a new AI tool is coming out every day that might replace me, or platforms change like you said, like we were talking about earlier, Google Plus, like platforms that you can go all in on, which you that's a way that you can become known. But what if it goes away? Like there were people doing Periscope back in the day. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other social ones that they were really hot for a time, and now like they're kind of,
Huge.
we can't even think of their names. So how do you become relevant? I think like that niching down is huge, and it's not just on a sales end, but really specialists are in higher demand and demand a higher price and have higher profit margins than generalists. So by being a specialist, you're positioning yourselves. And I think the tech will change.
Yeah,
The tools will change. They're always changing and they'll change quickly. It's difficult to stay on top of that for 10 different industries, but you can do that for one. And I think like the tech will change. Like you were talking about, like the doctors, like if you know your niche, their pain points, their maybe their quirks, or what they're facing and what they really ultimately want, whether you're doing websites or social ads or content, whatever you're doing, the result. And if you do that, that typically doesn't change as quickly as the technology. So like what they want and why they want it is constant, but the how to is going to change, and you can be ahead of the wave if you know exactly what they want and what they need. You can go find that quicker than somebody who's just a web designer or an ads person. So I love you've lived that and you've experienced that.
for sure. I think if it wasn't for my niching, um, in the medical and financial sector, I would probably be I'd struggle, I think. I'd be struggling.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think you bring up a good point of like many agency founders out there that you love the creative side of things, and you probably get bored easily. I talk to so many that are in this, and like, how do you pick just one and things like that? Because it is important to niche down, or niche as people would say in the US mainland. But I think there can be room, like focus on one first, but there can be ways that you could even almost have like two brands under one roof, like different branding eventually, especially if you have a team. So that I know that that's a really common question of like, how do I I feel just like trapped into one niche. And I always say like, a niche or a niche is it's not a tattoo. Like it's not like permanent, and it can evolve over time, or you can start other kind of sub brands for different ones as well. I don't know, is that something that resonates with you, or would you disagree with
Absolutely.
that?
No, no, absolutely. And I say this when I give out advice to other people, which I don't do too often. I don't do much in the way of mentoring, although happy to. But um, I always say niche, and they're like, "Oh, but I really love doing websites for, for random things that come through." So you could be building a dog grooming website or at the moment I'm doing a bit of a new AI tool website that's coming into the um on the shelves very quick soon. It just mixes things up a bit because I'll have 6 doctors, 3 financial advisors, and then I've got the dog grooming website, or I've got the, they still come. They still come. And like you say, I've got different umbrellas. I've got the CC Digital. I've got my medical website. I've got London Web Girl, which again is a bit more fun. Again, don't talk about it too much, but I'm on like page 1 for female web designer, London. So I just keep it there for the fun stuff. Just it's good to just make things up a bit. And as a web designer, there's no reason why you can't knock out a website in a weekend and then off, off you go and then reap the benefits from that niche. So
Yeah,
go
yeah,
for it.
that's good. That's a really good point. Like, with referrals and networking, other things will come to you, especially if like, they meet you and they resonate or they've heard about you. And
Yeah,
yeah, like maybe just focusing your brand to the public and outside world, but it doesn't mean that's all that's gonna come to you. So that's a really good point.
agreed.
All right, Daryl, we're gonna enter into our rapid fire round. So I'm gonna rapid fire some questions for you and just share kind of what comes to mind. So what's one tool or piece of software that makes you more efficient?
Sorry to be cliche, but ChatGPT.
Awesome. And what's one daily habit you swear by?
In general, I would say I've changed in the year in 2025, and it's got nothing to do with work, but actually looking after myself first, putting myself first. Otherwise the
Mm,
business will burn you out.
yeah, no, that is good. That is good. What's one book or mentor that has really impacted you?
Okay. I love, and I still love to this day, and it's still something that I do, is The One Thing, the book called The One Thing. And I sell one thing, its websites, whether that be to medical, financials, or business owners. I sell one thing, its websites. So that book is just chef's kiss. Read it once. I love Marcus Sheridan.
Yes.
So he's the author of They Ask You Answer, also a great book. And if you see him on stage ever, he just brings so much value.
I would agree. I have the one thing on, behind me on my bookshelf. One of my probably my most recommended and gifted books. And then Marcus Sheridan is a good friend. And like I agree. Like if you have a chance to see him in person or videos,
Yeah.
probably even more relevant today. His They Ask You Answer method, especially in the AI world in the area of search and content as anyone. So that's really good. Cheryl, what's one piece of advice that you give agency founders out there who are listening? Like one thing that, if you could say one thing that would help them, what would you say?
So I can only tell you what has helped me over the years. So I would probably say niche into a sector. And then my second piece of advice would be network face to face, add as many people as you can to your socials, whether that be LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. And then just make sure you show up at least 3 to 4 times a week. If you can get on camera, then it's more beneficial. Again, personality and just people hearing your voice just keeps them in their memory bank.
I love it. I love it. And where's the best place online to learn more about you and your agency?
So on Instagram, I'm London Web Girl, and on LinkedIn, it's pretty much the same thing, but I'm a little bit more laid back on Instagram. So LinkedIn is Cheryl Laidlaw, and London Web Girl for Instagram.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, this has been great. Thanks for all the nuggets and sharing all the years of experience that you've had and what you've learned. Super valuable. And thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
And for everyone tuning in from the gym, in your car, or at your desk, thanks for joining us. If this episode was helpful for you, be sure to subscribe and share it with another agency founder who could benefit from it. Because agencies don't rise alone, they rise together. This is Agency Rise.